the first in our tour series, the Medicine Man Tour. So the instructions are to go ahead and look at your phone and scroll through the photos along with the tour. We hope you enjoy this. We've got a few more coming your way. But first up is Pete Williams hosting the Medicine Man Tour. Okay, so here we are, right?
Yes.
So this is Pete Williams.
This is Pete Williams. This is Medicine Man, our 40,000 square foot production facility. And our dispensary right up front is the largest or the highest tax-paying store in the state, I think is what it is. So we call it the biggest store in the state. They call us the biggest and the best. I know we're not overall the biggest. I think we sell more out of this one store than any other single store. So we're the single largest facility, or single largest selling facility. That's a good way of putting it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Sounds good to me. We're doing the whole tour. This is the mothership building.
This is the mothership, definitely. This is where it all started. It used to just be 20,000 square feet. We've bought the whole building. We filled it all up with a 40,000. We produce about 125 pounds a week, every week, 52 weeks a year.
All right, so we're in the parking lot, and here we go.
Here we go. Let's go to the front door, and security will stop, check our IDs, and we'll get badged up and head to the back.
Excellent.
Yes.
All right, and we've got these big green Medicine Man, medicinal. Well, there's Andy Williams down there, and Sally Vander. Everybody's right here.
Yep, everybody's right here. And the green cross is what you're seeing. That's the symbol that lets everybody know what marijuana is.
Right.
And do we want to go straight over to Sally and Andy, or do we want to go?
Oh, we'll talk to them later.
Okay. Yeah. Here we go. So, security, this was locked, and he just had to press a button to get in.
All right.
Then security here is going to have to check your ID before we go any farther, which he has already done. I'm glad to see that.
Yeah, we did a little canvassing of the space.
So security always checks everybody's ID first, because it's very important that we don't let anybody in here that's under 21. And they'll test us. And we've been tested. We failed once. And it wasn't because our security guard, our replacement security guard, he was on break for 15 minutes, and the replacement we had here failed the test, and it was a very big deal. We've got to make sure we never fail that test again, because we can get shut down. So all the IDs are scanned now with a scanner, and then they're double checked at the bud tender station. We cannot have any other failures on that under 21, because it was disheartening for all of us that happened. And it was the security guard. It was our fault, but the security guard that was at the door should not have been at this door. His eyes weren't good enough, I guess. Yeah. But it all starts right here. But then we've got the recreational side. Things are pre-packaged. There might be a dozen things to choose from. On the medical side, there might be 20 or 30 things to choose from, but that's a supply and demand. We happen to have a lot of medical built up right now, and not as much recreational, but everything's for speed over here. We're seeing so many customers a day. It's pre-packaged. They could open up the package and smell it, but this side is done for speed. Someone's calling me. Oh.
So we got people calling you. Oh, here's Sally Vander. Veer.
Hi, Seth.
Here's Andy Williams.
Hello.
So these are familiar voices to the folks that are listening to the podcast. So Pete was just taking me through the front door, and I think we were going to go through the line here, right?
We can. We can go through the line and take a look.
Let's go to Shelley.
Yeah, that's my sister's up there.
Okay, so this is the other Williams.
Yes. Or she's a Schneider. She's gotten married, but
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Shelley, can we come up to your station? Yes. Hey, so this is Seth. This is Shelley, my sister.
Nice to meet you, Seth.
Nice to meet you, Shelley. And we are here at the counter, and there's a ton of product behind the counter. How would you describe that?
Oh, I would
the
say
microphone.
it's a plethora of freedom. Plethora. Is that the right word?
Yeah, plethora of freedom. That's good. That's good. What sells well? Let's talk about it.
G6 is one of the favorite strains. Another name for that is jet fuel. So it really gets people going. It's something that they can use to get them going. That's not going to put them to sleep. They still get some relief from it, some pain relief from it, and yet they're not really tired.
All right, so that's a strain. What about the MIPS? What about the infused products?
Well, the Affogato bar won second place in the Cannabis Cup this year, so we're selling a lot of that.
Right.
That's Bob and Rick's product. Bob and Rick
And there we go.
of Incredibles.
Absolutely.
Medically correct. We're good friends of ours.
Absolutely. We've had Bob on. What about in terms of vapes and things like that? What sells well?
The O pen, it's really popular. It's so discreet, so it's nice and easy for people to consume when they're around people that don't want to smell it.
Okay, and we're at the recreational counter. What are the biggest questions that you get, knowing that you're, kind of on the way from the airport to downtown and vice versa?
How much can I carry? Where can I consume? That's the biggest question.
And what is your answer to that?
Only in a private residence. That's all I can advise. There's a few places they can go. There's a iBake in Denver. There's a place up in Ned, a little place they can go. There's not very many of them. It's needed. Yeah.
And we've had Joel Schneider from Bud and Breakfast, so that's another one. But yeah, no, absolutely. Unless you know someone that has a home here, it's going to be tough.
Gary's Rec Room and iBake. Those are the only two in Denver that I know of.
Okay. Excellent. What else do I need to know if I come up to you at the recreational counter? I know what I want. I come and I get the stuff, and then what do I do?
You know that you need to carry it out in an exit bag. So we'll tell you that. That keeps you legal in your car, too. So you want to have the exit bag locked and out of reach of the driver.
How much were they?
That's good enough, I think.
You give advice to people on how to smoke. Some people come in here completely ignorant, and they need to give them a complete education. They've never smoked before, and they don't know what they want. So they'll ask questions, and Shelley and bud tenders like her will lead them in the direction that they're comfortable with.
Yeah, and I did position myself as someone in the know. But if I did come up and I said, hey, I don't want to be too, I don't want to feel paranoid, and I just want to have a good time, what would you suggest, whether it be a infused product or a flower? What would you suggest?
If they're not sure what they're needing, I can definitely help them. If I ask them what they're going to be doing, what they need it for, what are their needs. So if they're going to a concert, I would recommend something like Special Queen. It's good for listening to music, or even the G6, the sativas, make the music sound really good. Right. So it depends on what they're doing. And of course, you want to ask them how potent do they want it, because you don't always know. It could be someone that smokes often, but they still don't want something really strong. So it's important to know what they're looking for and guide them in that direction.
Yeah. So if I say, listen, I've smoked a few times, maybe in college, but it's been a while.
I would say you could try Blue Dream. That's a good go-to. And maybe a hybrid would be good too. Something that you'll feel evenly.
You talk to them about taking a couple puffs and then waiting, right? I mean, smoking it, there's an immediate high. If
right away, you should feel it immediately, and it is different with the bud, and everything it's different. The edibles are completely different than the bud. So yes, start slow. Start low and go slow for smoking and any way you consume.
There we go. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shelley.
I think I know all the Williamses, no matter what their last names are. All right, so here we go.
Now we're going to the medical side.
Now? Okay.
So people aren't allowed past this point unless you have a prescription. So first thing you'll do is check in with my daughter at the bulletproof glass there and put you in the computer, and then they'll know you're here and sitting down, and then they'll call you up when your time is ready.
And again, the two entrances are completely different looking. The recreational side just feels completely different than the medical side.
Well, on this side, you can see everything's in jars instead of bags. So you get to smell 4 ounces of it, which is a more potent smell. So you get a little more attention with the pot to where they let you look at it, smell it. Or over there, you can smell it too, but you're smelling a small amount. And you don't get that big whiff, you will, out of a quarter-pound jar like this. The people that work over here are the ones that have done a little more research and know maybe our product better. So when a person comes in and says, I have arthritis, they'll pull up 3 or 4 jars that somebody else or all thousands of people have said worked for their arthritis. And that's the starting point, is using the feedback that they've gotten to give suggestions in the beginning, because everybody's metabolism is different, but we have a good starting point. And these guys are really smart about what all the effects of these different plants, the 30 different plants here, have for different people. So they give the feedback back.
Yeah.
And in fact,
and in terms of Well, MIPS, we've got our friends at Sweetgrass Kitchen right here. I saw some product over on the other side.
That's a big seller for us. We love them.
We're going to Julie's kitchen to do a tour there as well. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they're one of the biggest sellers, plus the Incredibles. They're another one of the bigger sellers. People that you've had on your show happen to be the biggest sellers.
Dixie.
And Dixie's a big seller too, yes.
Yep, Dixie.
Sure. Okay, great.
But on this side, the edibles you might be able to get them at 300 milligrams because a person who's got a serious condition that needs a lot of milligrams doesn't want to have too many calories. So if you're to have to eat 3 candy bars to get your dose, that's too many calories. So over here you can get higher doses in your edibles for those true medical patients that need those high doses.
There you go, to relieve
Let's
the pain.
talk about, we've got this really cool new strain, Canasu, which is a high CBD strain. So you've heard a lot about Charlotte's Web, but this is similar to that, and it's 2-to-1 CBD to THC. So that's a really cool thing. And in fact, Shelley was telling me the other day that she had a woman come in has serious pain, cancer, and has tried so many different strains which work for her, but the Canasu especially worked for her because of the high CBD content.
There we go.
So we're developing more and more genetics toward the medicine end, toward the CBD medicine end, which is really cool.
That Canasu is really exciting to me because it's not just the 2-to-1, 14% CBD, 7% THC. There's the CBGs, CBNs, CBCs. It's got the full package in there. There are so many people that are going to be cured or their lives are going to be changed by this Canasu. The Charlotte's Web is great, but it's just CBDs. This has the THC, the CBG, CBNs.
The full entourage.
Yeah,
effect.
it's really neat. It's going to help a lot of people, and we're working on separating those components so we can prescribe them, or doctors can prescribe them exactly what they need. And so you can get a certain amount of CBNs with the THC and the CBDs. So it's exciting times for the industry. We're getting so much feedback. You can learn from that and bring pharmacists and really smart people in to help us, and we'll have this legitimized before you know it.
Well,
yeah.
And the next step really is to create a database that is not just for Medicine Man, but for all Colorado or whoever wants to use it, a database of anecdotal information, since that's primarily what we can work with now, created by bud tenders and by pharmacists that say, arthritis, use this type of a combination. Cancer use this type of a combination. So we're trying to develop that and push that science forward.
She says it so much better than
That's
I do.
it. That's it. Well, that's Sally and that's Pete. We know who to go to for what. But in terms of CBD minus THC, with all those new medical states coming online with the CBD kind of rules, it sounds like you guys are ahead of the game.
We're working on getting our MIPS, that so we can start extracting and pulling those products out as well. Yeah. More though on a medical grade level with consistency and CGMP practices, things like that. So we really want to take it to the highest level we can.
And towards the medical side, we want to help people. It's a really good part of this industry is how many people we're actually helping. And with bud like that Canasu, it's going to broaden that to so many more people. It's exciting, very exciting to help people.
Hey,
absolutely.
Did you know this? We're getting 2 more strains, I found out. And I think I found a way to get a hold of Charlotte's Web and The Gift. The Gift is an 18-to-1 CBD plant.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
This is recorded.
I know.
Yes, I'm kind of interested in that and kind of not, because you can buy CBDs raw on the market. Why take up production space to get just pure CBDs?
I can answer that question.
Okay.
Because it's whole plant therapy.
Okay.
Right now, if you just buy CBDs, you get CBD only. And I think we don't know what we don't know in terms of a whole plant medicine. And having the THC and all the other cannabinoids that interact with the CBD have effects that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, I've heard that recently too. People it's not just the THC, it's the whole plant. They're juicing it and everything, and it's true. There might be something to that. It just hasn't been scientifically proven yet, but I think it's getting there, and Andy's right.
There we go. Andy's right. That's Sally's right, Andy's right, Pete's right. All right, so we're going on to the next thing.
Yep, we're going through the security door here.
Here's the security door that we're walking through.
I don't have one of those badges on set. This is where, like in those commercials, you get tackled by a professional football player.
Yes.
That's what would have happened. Thank goodness I've got a badge.
Yeah.
So we're going into the 20,000 square feet where we learned our lessons, and then after that we'll go see the brand new 20,000 square feet. So let's start from the beginning over here.
Excellent. We're walking through, and it says "Welcome to Medicine Man," and we've got more security.
Sign here. Pardon me? I'm sorry.
It's just more security.
Yep, security there, all the doors. But this right here is the mother room. You see a big field of 7 foot high, between 2 foot and 7 foot high plants. But this is where we get our genetics. We're running the same thing over and over. Consistency, and to find one of these, say this is a Purple Dream right by the door there. We need to plant 10 Purple Dream seeds. And you grow all those up and find out which ones are males, get rid of those males, so you've got 5 left. Then you take a clone off of each of those. 4 months later, you know what those are going to do, and so you grow one of the clones out all the way through. I'm doing horrible on this, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine. It's good for me.
And then you find out what they do, and you get rid of the ones that didn't produce big juicy buds, and you keep the 1 or 2 that did, or none. So getting these genetics takes a long time, and they're very special. We're running them over and over because they're big, juicy producers.
Pete one time said that we were doing a tour, and he said, it's like having 10 kids and just picking the best one.
No, a woman has 10 babies. We want her fat, sticky baby.
Just big, fat, sticky babies.
Genetics is a big part of the industry.
Right.
Having the right genetics that are going to produce big, juicy buds. So this is where they all come from. You can get tens of thousands of cuttings off these plants right now, but we just need 108 of them a day. What is it? Good, big, and fast are the 3 categories we're looking for. We want them to produce fast, we want them to produce quality, and we want them to produce big.
Right.
So,
and you guys have been doing this. I know that you're a PhD, you're a post-hole digger.
yes.
Right? And so you've been doing this since the basement, how many years?
Oh, how many years is it now, Andy? 7 years or so for me, and
It's more than that.
5 years for the company or so.
What year did you start?
Early 2008.
2008?
Okay. So 2008, however
There we
many
go.
years that's been,
So
yes.
then we've got a little bit of knowledge in here. All right, so then there's it's a bunch of construction type stuff looking.
Well, this is all, these are storage for the nutrients and the different media that we use. And this is the old side. Remember, we've got all this replaced. It's new on the new side. This is how we used to do it. We've taken it to the next level on the other side. But this is a planting and watering mixing station, tea brewers. But this is not nearly as good as the other side. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain over here.
You don't talk, they can't see it.
Okay.
So really, this side used to be state of the art, quite honestly. Everybody would walk through and say, this is the best facility I've ever seen. The new side just outdoes this.
Yeah, it's true. Everybody used to call this the best they've ever seen,
Right.
and now it embarrasses me when it shouldn't.
Right, well,
really
it
shouldn't.
was.
We consider it sort of a marijuana museum, right? So you see different iterations as you progress through the warehouse, the 40,000 square feet. So it really does document the history of what happened here. So it's kind of cool to see, where we were, where we are.
So where are we? Let's go, right? Should we go to the next thing?
Do you want to go out of order or in order?
In order.
Okay, then we got to go back around the corner here.
All right.
Because a lot of times I like to not backtrack, and
Sure.
I'll go straight to the cure room where my son is, straight from that room there.
Right.
But we're going to go down the hallway. This is a long flower hallway here, so all of these are the finishing rooms.
Yeah.
So it's 12 hours of light, 12 hours of darkness, so the plants think that it's almost winter time and they've got to hurry up and put their flowers off. That last room we were in, are these on? Oh, I'm here early. I'm not used to seeing these rooms.
There we go.
So this half is on right now. They're actually harvesting this table that's right inside the door here. So this is the old side. You'll still see a little bit of wood and PVC and different Home Depot type things.
Right.
But this is kind of our general model, and it's stuck to the other side, but it's just everything's much upgraded from this. So you can see this fall-like colors usually mean it's getting close to harvest.
Right.
But off of each of these 6 lights, we'll get 12 pounds, which 2 pounds per light, which is a great industry standard. We could get more pounds per light if we grew just our biggest bulkers, but we're growing 50, 60 different things as a variety, so it brings our weight down to that 2 pounds per light, and which is a great industrial standard, or a great standard for the industry, but we could do better.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if you want it to be a factory.
If we wanted just to produce a less of a supply, or less of a choices for our customers.
Right. There you go.
But Colorado really wants their choices. They've gotten to be a little bit snobby
Right.
From the beginning. They want a dozen choices rather than 4 choices.
Right.
Other places would be happy with 4.
All right. That's it. Okay, good. All right.
So old side.
Yeah.
And let's look at so this was our
Continuing down, and how many flowering rooms are there?
second- do you know how many flower rooms we have?
20.
I think we'll look at the number on the last one. It might be 24, 18 to 24. So more the same thing. On the far end of this room, we do a lot of testing. We test different lights. Right now, the Gavitas are being tested. We've done a lot of different LEDs, but we found the good high pressure sodium is working better than anything else in the long room with heat and all the different factors that the lights bring in.
And we run a continuous harvest, so you'll see in here, have been only in here for maybe a month, and some have been in here for a couple months, so that we're not harvesting one room at a time, right? So we have 40 hours of work for all of our trimmers, all of our growers, a week, so that we're not waiting for 6 months or 3 or 4 months for this whole room to be ready. So it's just like any other manufacturing facility, we just happen to manufacture pot.
Right.
So we have, or cannabis. So we have all of these, there's a cycle. Our growers know which tables to pull every day, how many plants we're going to be throwing up to the trim room, how many plants are going to the cure room. So it really helps us be efficient and keep our cost of production low.
Excellent.
It's roughly 108 plants a day, or 2 of these 6 light systems a day, harvest 5 days a week. And some weeks are heavier, some weeks are lighter, but if you harvest all this at once, you have to hire in 20 trimmers that are just going to be there for a few days, then let them go. So our system allows us to keep the people full time this way. Yep.
The rolling harvest.
Exactly, the rolling harvest.
Continuous or rolling harvest, yeah.
And here you see some troughs, our watering troughs. Everything in the building is hand watered. It's very labor intensive, but we put eyes on the plants. Every 2 to 3 days, somebody's spending 10 seconds looking at that plant. So it's caused us never to have crop failure in any major way. We've come close to crop failure, like Andy's story, but we've had small plant loss, but we've never had whole rooms get lost or anything like that because of the eyes on the plants and the extra money we spend hand watering. So we're on the new site now. It went from wood to hospital quality white.
Yeah.
This is a mirror image to the other side. Flower, flower, veg, flower. But there's no more wood. It's all metal. This is made for longevity. We found wood is not conducive to long-term growing. This is a package for our tech company, which is going public this fall. So we're bringing people through here all the time, showing them how we do it, and then they purchase our ideas and our training. So it's really exciting times for our tech company because this showroom makes it easy.
Yeah, we with Medicine Man Technologies, we help, I think we've said before, people through licensure, and then we design and build their facilities, train their employees, and really give them as turnkey a business as there can possibly be without having it already running. And we actually we bring them through here so they can see what they're buying, and it really helps out a lot for us.
This is the model.
This is the model, yep.
And it's based on all those years of experience.
Actually, theirs is going to be better than ours because we've already made improvements to this that Pete's come up with that are really phenomenal.
It drives me crazy when they're like, this is obsolete. I'm like, no, it's not obsolete. It's brand new. It costs $3.5 million.
And I've got to hold my changes back because this is the package we're selling.
Yeah.
And we have 5 years of data behind this. So you can't make major changes because people want that data showing proof that we're getting these 2 pounds per 6 light or 2 pounds of light. And we have lots of data behind that. So I can't make major changes or it'll invalidate that data.
Right, okay. So we've got to go with the data that we know works.
Yep, so this is another long flower hallway here, and we'll go into the rooms.
And it does look completely different.
Yeah,
it's completely
hospital white, epoxy floors, aluminum walls that are this is the same stuff they use in clean rooms in hospitals. These climate control units are the best money can buy. They're made for computer server rooms. So if you have $1 billion worth of computers and you want to keep the humidity away from them, this is what you use. And so there's $800,000 worth of these climate control units on this side. This was a $3.5 million build. And most people think they could do this for $1.5 million, and they try, and then they end up failing. You've got to spend the extra money to do things over the top right to have it clean enough and for longevity. The other side works great for us, but we have to do a lot more maintenance. This side, it's easier to bleach the walls and do everything because it's so slick and there's no places for any molds to gather.
Right.
So this is making our other model more bulletproof for the people who are buying our technology.
Right.
So this makes it even easier for them to have success when we know how easy it is to have success on the other side.
Awesome.
And so let's open up these flower rooms right here. These ones should be on.
Oh.
Sorry, stop.
So you'll notice the metal tables.
Right.
So there's no more wood in here. All these tables separate so you always can get to a plant. You never have to reach more than to your bicep to get to a plant. And the air, you can feel the air is even way better on this side, just nice and cool and not humid in here. We've tightened everything up a little bit, so we get 13 pounds per table on this side on average rather than 12. I've stretched the canopies a little bit, and just a really clean environment is a great place to grow marijuana.
It's unbelievable. It feels completely different. There's all sorts of fans in here. It's a totally different light. What does that do to the plant? What does that do to, the strains?
Well, see how these plants are all just sitting here jiggling from the fans?
Yeah.
That actually strengthens them because you're breaking little things and they're repairing themselves. Kind of like when you break your leg and it repairs itself, sometimes it's stronger. You're doing a lot of that, but not gently here. So you want to see the leaves moving, so there's airflow. You don't want microclimates to happen, and that molds and mildews can form that way. So airflow is a big deal. Temperature between 70 and 80 is good, but the humidity level, we got to keep it below 59% for sure. It's probably like 30% in here right now. Yeah. The lower the better for molds and mildews and stuff like that.
And so that's all free advice from Pete Williams.
Oh,
there
sorry.
you go. They're shaking as if they're working out.
Yeah, they are. Everything's just got a slight jiggle to it, which is good. That means it's harder for the microclimates to form on something with moving air, but it still can happen. So we've got a lot of attention, eyes on these plants, looking for molds, mildews, and insects.
And we calculate yields out of every room, and the yields on this side and the new side are about 10% even, and moving up higher than the other side with really the same space. So it's good for business.
Yes, and one of the new changes, I won't even talk about it, but there's a nice new change that's going to add a whole another system to this room. It's just efficiencies.
Yeah.
Every inch is worth so much. You've got to try to capture that, and the people who we're building for are going to capture that. We didn't get to because I didn't have the idea before then. Airflow's there's air flowing in different ways in these rooms too. That's a big part of our secrets is the airflow. Sally's looking at me, don't say anything. But airflow is a big part of keeping your plants healthy.
Good.
It's a potting day, which is why there's dirt on the floor. Normally this place is spotless, and it's driving me crazy because it's a clean, you can usually do surgery in here, but they're potting some plants today. So
all right.
Forgive.
Not a problem. So this is right at the beginning. This is where the process starts.
Yep, we're back at that mother room, but this is the other side. So inside the door here is the veg room with some mothers, and same as we saw on the other side. And this is the water station where they mix all their different waters, they do all their different potting. On this side, the coconut fibers, this isn't dirt, these are coconut fibers and perlite, get mixed up in this big machine rather than hand mixed. So this side has all the bells and whistles, the reverse osmosis water, because if you get your water down to 1 part per million, your mixes are more consistent because city water.
Like any manufacturing process, we want to control the inputs, the environment, and the climate, and that's what we do here.
Yeah.
So water is a big part of the inputs to this. Same with the medium, the cocoa, it's sterile, so we can control exactly what the plant is uptaking. So if we have a consistent process, consistent inputs, consistent climate and environment, we're getting the same product every time, and that's what we strive for.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what the people buying our products want, is the data showing the consistency, and we've got that.
There you go. And
yes.
Consistency in flour, no less.
Yes.
Yeah, let alone edible product.
Yes, it's true. So we've got a big group of Oompa Loompas around here getting ready probably to take 1 gallon pots to put them into 5 gallon pots, or they're taking the clones and the little sponges and putting them into 1 gallon pots. And let's step into this room real quick right here. So this is the veg room. So we've got our mothers here. We talked about our mothers, and you take the clipping off of there, you put it in a sponge in a dome, and a week later or so it'll have roots. It'll be a genetic identical to the mother. So then that'll go into a 1 gallon pot right here on this row, and it'll just be a 6-inch high plant, and it'll start to stretch, and we'll trim it to get it to branch out. Trim it a couple times and you'll have 8 major branches. When that turns into like a little bush about 1 foot high, that gets transferred into a 5 gallon pot in the middle of the room here, and then it starts stretching more. Then it'll go underneath the really bright lights up top and finish. When it gets to be about 2 feet high, it'll graduate out of this room, and then we'll put it into one of the finishing rooms. So this is where the babies go to teenagers, and then they go to adulthood and maturity in the other rooms.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
And we can mention the principles of the children that we want out of this room again, or just leave it.
And this is called the Green Mile.
The Green Mile.
Yes, this is called the
Actually,
Green
it says it on the door even.
Yeah, it does.
All right, excellent.
So this feeds the beast.
Excellent. And so we've got, I mean, this is an amazing facility. We saw the retail, we saw both recreational, we saw medical, we saw the grows. We're going to go over to the technologies building in a second, but
No, let's go see the cure room first. We'll go say hi to my son in the cure room.
there we go.
Because I shouldn't, or am I allowed to talk about how much is up there?
No.
There's too much product up there. What we have is a nice little stockpile right now of medical bud. We have too much medical bud in our secure vault. So we're running a lot of sales. And we stopped growing recreational pot, or mostly stopped growing recreational pot for the next couple months to let that glut sell. But that'll increase our numbers on the rec side. We usually do 85% recreational, 15% medicinal.
Yeah.
But it's turned out that it's probably more like a 90-10. We've got 90% recreational, 10% medicinals, because we're getting a stockpile on the medicinal side.
Amazing.
All right, so we've come up the stairs. We're going into the cure room. Now this is the hand trim cure room. This is a really neat site. I wish your listeners could see what you're just about to see.
Well, we're going to take some pictures.
Yep, these big bookcases, you're going to hear it slide out. And they've got double-sided pot on either side. So what we're looking at right now is probably an 8-foot by 7-foot wall of marijuana just tightly hanging on this metal piano wire. And there's beautiful purple buds right there. Just a lot of THC. See how these buds really glow? Those are those 25, 28% THC ones. And this purple is really desirable, a good dark purple. It might not be as good as some of the other bud, but the color, people want to bring purple bud to a party or something like that. So that sells for extra. The ones with the really great flavor and the high THC will sell for the premium prices. Some of the other ones that don't look quite as covered in THC might even work better for certain people. So it's not always the looks of the bud, it's what's in that bud is the effect.
And that's why we grow so many strains too, because some people want 7% THC. They want the old school high. They don't want to be, hammered on the couch. It's a difference between drinking a glass of wine and a bottle of Jack Daniels, right? So we try to offer the entire spectrum of what people might prefer.
But I always tell people, get the most potent and take fewer hits.
Yeah.
It's more economical that way. So it's just like if you're going to drink wine rather than Everclear, you don't drink as much Everclear as you would a glass of wine.
Right.
So you just got to be smart about it.
Yeah, but Everclear sucks. And wine tastes good.
So, but the point is, though, if I'm looking for 1997, just have one hit.
Yes. A lot of this is one-hit stuff. Like I every once in a while will take time off of smoking pot. Recently I took 2.5 months off. I took one hit of our pot and it sent me through the roof.
There you go.
And I always scoffed at those people who said one hit pot. But this is one hit pot if your tolerances aren't built up to it.
Sure.
Very much so. So this is the curing process. This room is 59% humidity, below 70 degrees, giving away more secrets there.
We'll edit.
No, you don't have to. It's okay. But it slows down the drying process. The slower you can dry these buds, the better, without creating mold. So if you have it above 59% humidity, molds have a chance to grow, so you keep it below that. And so they'll spend 7 to 10 days on these lines, slowly drying. They'll be almost dry. Then they clip them off the branches, batch them together. There's tags that are following the plants all the way through. But then they batch them together with like plants and put them in the 5-gallon buckets over there, the food-grade buckets for the final cure. And Andy's going to open up a bucket of G6.
This is the G6 that Shelley showed you, so smell that.
I've never smelled anything like that in my life.
I know.
It's very fruity.
Yeah.
It's really pungent.
We'll send you home with some stuff.
Yeah, right?
But this bucket might be 3 pounds a pot, and that might sell for maybe $4,000 a pound, depending on how we sell it and where we sell it, and $3,000 a pound. So that's a $9,000 bucket there. We've got buckets in the back that are even more expensive than that because they've got a higher price, denser bud. Some buds might be 5 pounds in a bucket, and they might sell for $6,000 a pound. So it might be $30,000 in one of those buckets.
And
possibly.
like you guys have continued to say throughout the tour, just like any other manufacturing facility, we've got a certain amount of this product, certain amount of this product, certain amount of this price, certain amount of that price.
Yes, definitely. Not everything works the same for everybody. So if it doesn't work for me, it might work for somebody else, and you've just got to understand everybody's metabolism's different. And go with your feedback. If people love it, keep rolling it.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of like our Blue Dream.
When we're looking at what strains to keep, like we'll go up and down. We were up at 100 and some odd strains, went down to 50. We're back up to close to 90 now, so we're gonna have to shrink it back down. And like we said, we look at good, big, and fast. And the good is, let's get a bud tender out here that's talking to people. Let's get a trimmer. Let's get a grower all together, because all that's part of good. You know, how well does it grow? You know, how hard is it to trim, and how do the customers respond to it? And all that goes into our good calculation.
Excellent. All right.
One more room to go to.
One more stop.
But I want to show you the byproducts from that room first.
Okay.
So the trim room is next, where all the 108 plants get trimmed today, but their byproducts come here. So the first thing the trimmers are going to do is pull off the big fan leaves. So here they are in a tray getting dried up, but these have about 2% THC on it, and they're worth $100 a pound to us. Extraction companies will buy this to extract the waxes and the little bit of THC that's in there. So we used to throw that away, now it's worth $100 a pound. And then you see the tight trim here. These are the tight leaves that were close to the buds. See all the crystals all over those? These are at least 10% THC. So this is worth more than $1,000 a pound to us, just selling it by the ounce. And people crush it up and smoke it because it's very effective, but it's a cheap product. It's a lot of people are looking for the sale, the cheaper, and this is very effective and very cost effective for people who don't have as much money. So it's one of our biggest sellers, but this is also what the edible companies want to make their concentrates and their edibles out of. So it goes to the customers and to the edible companies.
Excellent.
Yep. And here's the baby room where all the babies are kept. So we're inside of a room that's probably about 15 feet by 6 feet here, full of a bunch of little humidity domes. And each of these domes have about 50 different plants, and they're marked what's on there. And the growers know what these codes mean. But 7 to 10 days after these are put in these little sponges, they'll have roots. They get tags at that point. That's when it becomes a plant, is when it gets roots. So they'll be tagged, recreational or medicinal, and then planted immediately. But this one room here feeds this whole warehouse. Clones we have too many of them, and too many is good.
And so from this room, you get both sides.
We have another clone room on the other side also.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
Okay.
But it's not as full as this one.
All right.
Yep. Yeah, there's a repeat of everything on the other side.
Right.
The other clone room does have some clones that we use in-house, but we also use it for special orders. So other licensed growers or cultivators will call us up and say, hey, I need 500 or 1,000 clones. Can you give them to me? And so that room is made for special orders for other licensed producers.
And clones are just easy, almost free money. It maybe takes $1 a piece to make them, and we're selling them for $5 to $12, depending on who we're selling them to. So it's free money.
And that's the way that the industry goes.
Yeah.
All
All right.
right.
So many plants. Any plant in the veg room below us can be made into clones. So if we wanted to make 1 million clones today, we really could. There's probably enough stock to do it.
Pushing it to do 1 million.
Maybe 100. I'm not kidding. 100,000 at least.
All right. There's a high ceiling. No,
So now let's go see the trimmers. We saw what the trimmers put out.
Yeah.
Let's go watch the trimmers do their job.
Perfect. All right.
I just had a guy in here yesterday. See the trash can full of the leaves and stuff. We grind those up and put them in with the dirt as we're required to. I had a person come by yesterday who wants to juice those. And I'd love to sell them to him, but he has to have the proper licensing for me just to sell my trash to him. So I had to say no and tell him to, if he gets the proper licensing, we could think about doing that. Oops, trim room is right here.
All right. Here we go.
When the plants are ready to trim, they'll cut around the nets, because all these plants grew through the nets and were tied down. We didn't talk much about that, the flat canopies.
Right.
But the nets were holding these plants up. And once they're ready to harvest, they'll cut around the nets. The plants just want to fall down, but they'll bring them here and put them on these racks, waiting for the trimmers to grab them. So the trimmer will come down here, cut the whole plants off at the stem, take the tags upstairs, and take custody of it and trim it upstairs. Let's go see that happen.
There we go. And it's really amazing that the language that you use. You say, take custody of the plants.
Yeah,
it really.
We know where every plant is at every minute. In this, it's part of the laws, is knowing where everything is at all times and who's touched that plant. Everything about that plant we know.
So this is a very potent smell in here.
Is it? I see. I don't really smell anything anymore.
yeah.
It smells potent in here, I guess, guys.
Absolutely.
But we've got right here, look at some beautiful finished Girl Scout cookies. So here's the end product, but let's go watch how they'll get to this end product. This is what we saw hanging all over those wires there.
Yeah.
So they'll first take the plant. Here's a good one right here. So they'll take the plant and separate it into 8 to 12 inch branches. Then they'll pull off the big fan leaves here and put them in a pile, this turkey tray.
Right.
And then they'll start chopping all the tight leaves off into this tray. So these tight leaves here you can just see covered in the THC.
Yeah.
And these are the ones that don't have much. But then the finished product are these buds with the 12-inch stems that we saw hanging on those wires. So they have 4 different categories here. The trash, or is it 5? We'll see. Trash, big leaves, tight trim, and then the buds.
Right.
So this is all going to be thrown away. The brown leaves and the stems will all be chipper shredded away. But this is the hand trimming process.
And when you say stems, you mean those big, thick stems?
Yeah, the big, thick stems. All the stems are thrown away in the long run.
Right.
That's one thing no one's found out what to do with yet, or they need to get the licensing to do it too, so I can sell them or give them my stems.
All right.
And then here's some machine trim bud. We'll go see the machine doing it. But you'll take the buds off the plants and they'll roll through a machine and come out. This is a perfect little shaped bud. It really is. Isn't that beautiful? But the machine pops them out like that, then they dry on these screen racks. It dries a little bit quicker, which might make it not quite as good of a product, but really people can't tell the difference. It's machine trim. If you quality control, you get rid of this little foxtail, people can't tell the difference. And the buds roll on these little porcupine leaves and actually don't damage the bud. It really is pretty much the same product. It just saves so much labor, we can lower the prices up front. So let's go take a look at that machine working.
Absolutely.
Wow, isn't that beautiful? We're looking at another beautiful plant right here. Let's see what this is.
Shawbud?
This is a, I hate the name of that one.
Yeah.
It's Master Kush crossed with the white. But this is just beautiful. You don't see bud. I've been all over the world. I've smoked all over the world. And I don't say our bud's any better, but I've never gotten anything better than this.
Right.
It's as good as anything all over the world.
Yeah, no, it's just, it is what you would want a picture of a bud to look like.
It just glows. That's just glowing, beautiful round buds there. All right, let's head over to the machine trim.
All right, here we go.
All right, it gets a little loud in here, but this is the machine trim. So the buds will go in this little hopper here. Hey, Alejandro, can you turn this machine off for me for a second?
Keep it going, it's fine, yeah.
It's okay, Alejandro, it's okay. So the buds will go down this chute right here and into this cylinder. And the cylinder has a bunch of slits through it, and there's suction in the bottom. And as the buds roll through there, the suction pulls the leaves through the slits, and then the blades cut them off. And then they roll out the other side of this cylinder. And sometimes they need to go through twice, but this saves so much labor. This machine, with 2 people running it, is equivalent to 12 of our employees over there trimming. And the product is just about as good.
Right.
Yep.
And you got both going, so.
This allows us to lower the price to the customer.
Excellent, excellent. Okay.
This room probably smells really good too. And here's an upper view of the backside, so you see all the intakes and where the air comes out of the lights. Just a beautiful, hopefully your viewers will be able to see this shot too.
Yeah.
The roof of the new side, just so much going into it, and all the pipes running along the walls. It's industrial artwork, all the amps we've got going through here. Shooting the sprinkler systems, double sprinklered. So much, they held us to very high standards, which is good. But like in this second story grow up here, we could put a tank up there. They held us to such high standards. So it was a test to see what it would take to do multi-level growing, and it took a lot. So until the standards, they hold us to regular standards, we really can't do multi-level like that because it costs so much to do it.
Right.
Yes.
And there we have it. There's both sides, the old side, the new side, the retail side. We've got the technologies building, which I'm not sure that there's much in there besides desks, right?
No.
But there you have it. Andy Williams, Sally Vander, Pete Williams, thank you so much for the tour.
Thank you very much.
And thanks for coming to visit us. I'm so happy you're here.
You got it. Likewise.
So a pretty extensive facility. And Pete did a great job, and Andy Williams and Sally Vander jumped in as well, doing a great job of taking us through, what happens and how it happens at Medicine Man.
hope you enjoyed that. Again, a few more coming your way. And go ahead and scroll through those photos while you're listening.